Scorpio, I see you. I see the pain you carry that no one else sees. I see the deep wounds you hide beneath that strong, impenetrable exterior. I see the inner hell you go through every day while the world assumes you're made of stone. But I also see something that defines you far more than any suffering. I see that even bleeding inside, even carrying pain that would break ordinary people, you don't wish harm on anyone. And that's not weakness. That's not naivete. That's not because you lack the power to retaliate. It's because you consciously choose not to become the monster others tried to make you into. And that choice changes absolutely everything about who you really are. Because the truth about you, Scorpio, is that you feel everything with an intensity that most people can't even bear or imagine. You don't just experience emotions, you are consumed by them. When you love with every cell of your being. When you trust, you give everything without reservation. And when you are betrayed, hurt, abandoned, the pain isn't just emotional, it's physical, it's visceral. It's a tearing of the soul that leaves scars that never completely disappear. But here's what makes you extraordinary. With all that suffering burning inside you, you still choose not to infect the world with your pain. You could easily use your deep knowledge of the human psyche to destroy those who hurt you. You know exactly where each person's weak points are. You know how to say the right phrase that would shatter someone. You know how to take revenge in ways that would leave your aggressors devastated. But you don't. Not because you're weak, but because there's a moral integrity within you so profound that it refuses to be corrupted, even in the worst circumstances. Can you feel the weight of this choice you make every day? The choice to keep your humanity intact, even when it would be so much easier to surrender to the darkness. What I'm about to reveal about you will deeply move you. It will touch places within your soul that you keep locked away because they are too painful to visit. But it will also show you that this pain you carry is not a curse. It's the price you pay for keeping your heart genuinely alive in a world that prefers emotionally dead people. Your capacity to feel deeply is simultaneously your greatest vulnerability and your greatest power. And how you choose to use that power to heal instead of hurt, to protect instead of destroy, to love instead of hate, defines you in ways that go far beyond your astrological sign. Scorpio, you've been through things that would make most people completely lose faith in humanity. You were betrayed by people you blindly trusted. You were used by those who promised to love you. You were discarded when it was no longer convenient. You were judged and condemned for intentions you never had. You were punished for being too intense, too deep, too real in a world that prefers superficiality. And in each of these devastating experiences, you had the perfect opportunity to get revenge, to make those people feel a fraction of the pain they caused you. But you didn't. Not because you didn't feel anger. You felt a fury so intense it frightened even yourself. Not because you didn't think about revenge. You mentally crafted perfect scenarios of how you could take justice into your own hands. But when the time came to act, something inside you refused. An inner voice, stronger than all the anger and pain, said, "I will not stoop to that level. I will not become what I hate. I will not carry the weight of having deliberately destroyed another person." And you chose to listen to that voice, even when it meant swallowing the pain, even when it meant that no one would pay for what they did to you, even when it seemed like you were letting them trample on you without consequences. For Scorpios born between October 23rd and November 2nd, this choice not to wish ill manifests primarily in relation to romantic betrayals. You loved someone with all your heart and were destroyed by that person, yet you still refuse to wish them suffering. For those born between November 3rd and 12th, the greatest pain comes from betrayals by family or people you considered family, and yet you maintain a dignity that refuses to seek revenge. And for those born between November 13th and 21st, the deepest wound is related to public injustices or humiliations, and yet you choose not to use your power to destroy reputations as retaliation. What all Scorpios share is this almost superhuman ability to maintain moral integrity even in the worst circumstances. And I need you to understand something crucial. This doesn't happen because you're a good person. It's not because you're passive. It's not because you lack the courage to confront those who hurt you. It's because you are deeply aware that if you became the kind of person who deliberately causes pain to others, you would lose the essence of what makes you, you. You would lose the ability to look in the mirror and respect the person you see there. And for you, that loss would be far worse than any pain others may have caused you. Are you beginning to understand that this choice is not weakness, but the purest form of strength that exists? Scorpio, the world sees you as vengeful, as someone who never forgets and never forgives, as the sign that will get you if you cross their path. But these are projections made by people who don't really know you, people who confuse your intensity with cruelty, your emotional depth with manipulation, your need for truth with a desire for control. The reality is much more complex and beautiful than these cheap stereotypes suggest. Yes, you don't forget. How could you? Every experience is etched into your soul with a clarity that never fades. You remember every word, every broken promise, every scornful glance, every moment of humiliation. But remembering isn't the same as seeking revenge. You carry these memories not as ammunition for future attacks, but as painful reminders of the kind of person you never want to become. Like scars that teach you to recognize dangerous situations before you get hurt again. Like evidence that you survived the worst and still kept your soul intact. And about forgiveness. That concept so misunderstood when it comes to you. People say you don't forgive, but they don't understand what forgiveness means to someone who feels as deeply as you do. You don't offer cheap forgiveness. You don't pretend something didn't happen just to keep up appearances. You don't say it's okay when it's not okay. Your forgiveness, when it comes, is real. It's earned through a brutal internal process where you process layers of pain, anger, disappointment, betrayal, until you finally reach a place of genuine peace. And even when you forgive, it doesn't mean you forget or that you blindly trust again. It means you free yourself from the weight of resentment while retaining the wisdom gained through the pain. But here's what's most important. Even when you don't forgive, even when you keep your distance from the person who hurt you, even when you cut someone out of your life completely, you still don't wish harm on that person. You simply choose to protect yourself and your peace. There's a huge difference between distancing yourself for self-preservation and actively wishing suffering on someone. You practice the former, never the latter. And that reveals a level of spiritual maturity that very few people achieve in a lifetime. The transformation happening to you right now, at this very moment, as you read these words, is you finally recognizing and honoring that extraordinary quality you've always possessed, but that others have tried to distort. Every time someone called you vindictive, you internalized a bit of that lie. Every time you were accused of holding grudges, you began to believe there was something wrong with you. Every time you were told you were too intense, you tried to diminish yourself to fit expectations that were never meant for someone like you. But the truth is that its intensity is precious, its depth is rare, its capacity to feel everything so completely is a gift that most people spend their entire lives trying to recover after numbing themselves to survive. And your choice not to wish harm, even when you have every right to be furious, even when it would be understandable to seek revenge, even when no one would judge you for returning the cruelty you received, that choice places you among the most evolved human beings on the planet. Because here's a profound truth that few people understand. Anyone can be kind when everything is going well. Anyone can be compassionate when they haven't been hurt. Anyone can love when they are loved in return. But to maintain your humanity when you've been broken, to choose compassion when you have every reason to become cruel, to refuse to spread the pain you feel so intensely, that requires a kind of strength that transcends what most people are capable of mustering. And you do it every day, not because it's easy, but because it's who you choose to be, regardless of what they've done to you. Scorpio, your pain is not small. I won't minimize or dramatize it. What you feel when you are hurt is not a superficial sadness that passes quickly. It's an agony that consumes you completely. It's a feeling of inner death, where part of you literally dies each time you trust and are betrayed. Every wound you suffer doesn't just hurt. It fundamentally alters your perception of reality. You can't simply get over it and move on as if nothing happened. Each experience permanently marks you, adding layers of complexity to your already infinitely deep psyche. And that is precisely why your choice not to wish harm is so significant. It is not a decision made from a place of indifference or lack of feeling. It is a decision made from the center of your personal hell, where the pain is so intense that it would be perfectly understandable if you wanted others to feel it too. But you don't, because you intimately know the taste of that suffering, and precisely because you know it so well, you refuse to be the instrument that inflicts it on others. That is empathy at its deepest and truest level. Not the superficial empathy of someone who has never truly suffered, but empathy forged in the fire of one's own torment. There's a crucial distinction I need to clarify. Not wishing harm doesn't mean you let people walk all over you without consequences. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or stay in toxic situations because you're spiritually evolved. It doesn't mean you give second, third, 20th chances to people who repeatedly demonstrate they don't deserve your trust. You have absolutely clear and healthy boundaries. When someone betrays you, you cut that person out of your life with surgical precision that leaves no room for ambiguity. When you detect falsehood, you walk away without unnecessary explanations. When you realize someone is using you, you close all doors without hesitation. And here's what makes you special. You do all this without poison in your heart. You protect yourself without wishing destruction upon those you protect yourself from. You establish firm boundaries without malice. You distance yourself from toxic people without wasting energy hating them or plotting their downfall. You simply close the chapter and focus on healing the wounds that remain. And that, Scorpio, is profound wisdom in action. It's understanding that harboring hatred is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. It's understanding that your inner peace is more valuable than any revenge could ever be. It's recognizing that the best way to win is not by destroying those who hurt you, but by healing yourself so completely that they no longer have any power over you. The change this brings to your life is absolutely revolutionary. When you finally recognize and embrace this part of yourself, this capacity to feel pain deeply without becoming cruel, you free yourself from external expectations and judgments that never made sense for who you truly are. You stop trying to explain yourself to people who are determined to misinterpret you. You stop justifying yourself when someone accuses you of being cold for setting healthy boundaries. You stop feeling guilty for cutting toxic people out of your life just because others think you should forgive and forget. This radical self-acceptance completely transforms your energy field. Instead of carrying the internalized shame of being too vengeful or holding grudges, you begin to radiate the dignity of someone who knows their own worth and fiercely protects it. And when you operate from this place of profound self-respect, something magical happens. You begin to attract people who also operate at this frequency. People who understand that intensity is not toxicity. People who respect boundaries instead of constantly testing them. People who value emotional depth instead of fearing it. People who can meet you in the depths without drowning. And what about those people who once hurt you? They gradually lose all power over you. Not because you spent energy hating them or seeking revenge, but because you invested that energy in healing and strengthening yourself. One day you look back and realize you no longer feel anything for them. No love, no hate, no anger, no desire for reconciliation. just a vague memory that they once existed in your life, but now they are irrelevant to who you have become. And this genuine indifference is far more powerful than any revenge could be, because it means you no longer carry their weight within you. You will notice a fundamental shift in how you experience your intense emotions. Instead of trying to suppress them or feeling ashamed of them, you will begin to recognize them as valuable information. Your anger will show you where your boundaries have been violated and need to be reinforced. Your sadness will guide you to the parts of yourself that need care and compassion. Your distrust will protect you from repeating patterns that led to suffering in the past. And your ability to feel all of this without letting it consume you will be a testament to your extraordinary inner strength. You'll also discover that there are people who recognize and value this quality in you, people who aren't scared by your intensity, but fascinated by it. People who don't try to make you feel less for their own comfort, but encourage you to feel fully because they understand that this is your way of being alive. People who don't confuse your healthy boundaries with revenge, but respect them as signs of self-love. These people are rare, but they exist, and when you stop trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, you create space for them to enter your life. And what about those who hurt you so deeply that the scars will never completely disappear? You'll discover that you can carry those scars with dignity. They don't define you, but are part of your story. They don't make you broken, they make you experienced. They don't make you bitter, they make you wise about human nature. And the fact that you emerged from those devastating experiences without becoming a person who wishes pain on others, that makes you extraordinary. Your future will not be defined by the pain of your past. It will be defined by the choices you make from this moment on. And the most important choice has already been made. You chose to keep your moral integrity intact, no matter what happens. You chose not to let the cruelty of others turn you into someone cruel. You chose to carry your pain with dignity instead of spreading it like poison. And these choices will come together over time, creating a life that reflects not what was done to you, but who you decided to be despite it. People will start to see you differently. They'll realize there's something about you that transcends the easy stereotypes they used to apply. They'll feel the quiet strength that comes from someone who knows darkness intimately, but chooses to be light. They'll recognize the rare authenticity of someone who doesn't need to pretend not to feel pain, but also refuses to use that pain as an excuse to hurt others. And those who are wise enough will want to learn from you how to do that. Share in the comments if you identify with this experience of feeling intense pain but choosing not to wish harm. You don't need to detail your wounds, just make your presence felt. This will create a network of recognition among Scorpios who understand that emotional intensity and fundamental kindness are not opposites, but can coexist in the same complex and extraordinary person. Subscribe to the channel now, because I will continue to honor and validate who you truly are instead of perpetuating superficial stereotypes. I will share content on how to use your emotional intensity as power instead of seeing it as a flaw. How to establish boundaries that protect your peace without carrying guilt. How to process deep pain in ways that strengthen you instead of destroying you. How to recognize people worthy of your depth in a world full of superficiality. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this profound validation of your authentic self. This is the moment when you finally break free from the lies you've been told about who you are. You are not vengeful. You are protective of your own peace. You don't hold grudges. You have the memory and wisdom not to repeat mistakes. You are not cold. You simply don't waste warmth on those who have proven they don't deserve it. And you are not cruel, even when you had every reason and opportunity to be. This truth about yourself changes everything. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how you relate to others. It changes the kind of life you allow yourself to create. And it changes the legacy you leave in the world. not as someone who spread the pain they felt, but as someone who absorbed it and transformed it into wisdom and compassion.